Welcome to another RightOutdoors.com podcast. I'm your host, Ron Hustovat. I'm here with Brian, the Beef Sather of Fathead Guide Service up in Bemidji.
Yep.
And we're talking, getting back to some of the out of the reach lakes that you can't easily find. I do a lot of articles about some of the big lakes in Minnesota. And I know when you do fishing reports, you try to keep it on the big lakes.
Yeah, it's some of those lakes that you sometimes don't want to mention because you don't want the pressure, but if you take the time to go out of your way, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about Lake Nunya today. Nunya business.
Nunya business.
You know, there's you gotta be able to get to these lakes. These lakes are not easy to get to. And we're gonna talk about a couple tips and tactics today for how you can find those great out of the way hideout lakes that nobody's fishing on. So what do you recommend, without mentioning any specific lakes, what do you do when you're telling somebody some advice?
Well, you know, up here in this northern Minnesota or Bemidji area to be specific, what I like to do is we communicate a lot with the local bait shops. Blue Water Outdoors, Gander Mountains, Tabor's Baits. We have a lot of neat stores in this town. And we look, and you have to scout. That's kind of part of the process, is going out there and figuring out what are you looking for. You know, up here our winters are really cold. And with the cold winters, you got to watch out for freeze, a burnout, or
right.
You know, where they freeze out. And
winter kill.
Winter kill. There's the word. I was thinking food. And the problem with that is if you have lakes with winter kill, it's not worth hitting these small lakes in the woods. So what I like to do is I like to get a couple of atlases, and it shows these different lakes in the woods, and then you got to go explore. You got to drive down these big hills, or you got to go through the woods, or you got to go, and all of a sudden you find this lake, and then how are you going to get into that lake? And then you got to start putting all this stuff together, and you got to pack light. You got to come in there with a couple of rods maybe, and maybe a small tackle box, and you have to get like a Strike Master bait puck or something for your waxies, and that's how simple it is. But it's fun. You gotta be able to explore and stay mobile though.
Yeah. Well, something I do is I go with my Hobie kayak. It's great. You can throw it in the truck. I don't have to worry about hauling a boat through there. So if you get somewhere and you get stuck, you just have to back up and drive it right out.
Yeah, and if you do find these lakes that are in the woods, like, you know, we have a lot of woods up in this part of the country. And I mean, there are a lot of cool lakes in there that are loaded with big crappies or big sunnies or big perch or nice walleyes or bass. And what's really cool about it is if you do have a lake that you can back down a boat on a trailer, you know, I have a 16-foot like a duck boat, and then if that's what it takes to get in the woods, that's what I'll use. But if I can bring in my bigger guide boat, I can do that too. So and then if you have the smaller, different, like a kayak or a canoe, that's great too.
Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing. You don't have to have a huge, nice walleye boat, bass boat, big water boat. There's a lot of lakes where you can bring that into. But you can also go in there with your duck hunting boat, like you said, a little canoe, a kayak, or some lakes you can even shore fish, because a lot of those lakes have got nothing but sand all around them.
Yep.
You can just walk the shoreline and fish them, and I think that's something a lot of people don't consider either.
And they don't realize it either. And if you do get a boat in or a kayak in there's a lot of cool ways and cool methods to do it. I like to bring a little flasher or a portable depth finder into these lakes so I can find some structure, because if it is a big enough lake in the woods, you do want to find a brake line or a hump or something like that to fish. And you know, Marco makes a great portable depth finder that I like to use too. And you know, it's just a simple LX5 depth finder, and you hang it over the side of the boat. It's in there. It's done. You can tell depth. You're fishing right away. Boom! It's perfect. You know.
Yeah, you can see everything this way. That works great in the kayak too. I brought that on my Hobie.
Yeah.
And just shoot right down through there, and it's like ice fishing, but you're open water.
A couple of other things I like to do is you pick up the Minnesota Atlas. If you're in the Minnesota area, they have a North Dakota one, they have a Michigan one. They're all over the place. And when you go through it, it shows all the waters, the different. Actually, this is Bemidji area here, and it shows everything. It shows it by blue, and it shows all the closest roads, forest roads, and it labels them.
Yeah.
So if you say, hey, I want to go up north this weekend, and I want to go look around, pick up an Atlas, and boom, you're in there. And you can find the little back doors of these lakes, and it's great.
A lot of times at the DNR website, you can find the lake name, you can look it up, and they'll have these ancient lake maps on there, but that's a great way to scout, because if it's got deep water, chances are it's not going to have winter kill.
And that winter kill is huge.
Yeah.
And if you can get around that. And just like you said on the DNR website, these different types of guides, these fishing map guides, and these have all these lakes on the back.
Yep.
I mean, you can get in there and find out what is in there, and if it is a lake that does have a public access, chances are it's going to be in these books because the DNR maintains that access, or the county does.
Yep. And you'll never see me write an article about any of these
No.
little lakes because A, there's nobody who's going to go on record talking about this lake if it's their favorite little hunt. And B, I don't want to rat out somebody's favorite lake that can't handle the fishing pressure. So
Yeah.
if you do come across that big monster, pike, monster bass, monster walleye in these little lakes,
Yeah.
don't tell people about it. Keep it your little secret hunt.
And the cool thing is too, if you get on these lakes, is if you have a chance to bring kids out, because chances are you're going to catch a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And they're going to be small to big, and just like any other lake. But if you get the chance,
Well, that lake we were on yesterday was loaded with bluegill.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a blast to have the
we
kids
didn't even
on
fish
there.
for them. We saw
Right.
That's how cool the water was and
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, and knowing the cool thing too, if you do get on these lakes and you do find a lake that is loaded with this nice size fish, make sure you practice catch, photo, release.
Yep. Definitely.
That's huge, because I mean we want to keep these lakes around for a long time. And it takes a lot of work to find these lakes, and if you find them, it pays off in the end.
Well, those little lakes just don't have the production either, those big lakes do.
Right.
So you gotta really babysit that fishery.
Well, like the lake we were on yesterday was a catch and release only lake, basically for bass, but we consider it for all species.
Yeah.
If you bring a camera with, there's your memories right there.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for watching another RightOutdoors.com podcast. Come back again for another one. We got a whole bunch coming out this year.